The Qabalistic Tarot is a textbook of mystical philosophy written by Robert Wang, hailed by reviewers as a masterpiece and as the single most profound reference of its kind. The Qabalistic Tarot has become the standard in its field, a book essential to all students of tarot symbolism. It is both a textbook and a sourcebook for the symbols of the Western Hermetic Kabbalah, a corpus of mystical ideas which have for centuries exerted a powerful influence on the development of Western thought. Dr. Wang explains the tarot as an externalization of a mystical system that has evolved from approximately the 3rd century CE to our own time. He traces the development of Kabbalistic ideas from the Neoplatonic through the medieval, Renaissance, and modern periods, systematically discussing each sephira and path on the tree of life. He uses the tarot images as a point of visual reference and provides a thorough explanation of the symbolic intricacies of the paths. The Qabalistic Tarot is recommended as a comprehensive textbook for individual study or for the classroom. The first and only work based on the 4 major decks in use today, it is the ideal companion book for the Golden Dawn Tarot, the Thoth Tarot, the Rider-Waite Tarot, or the traditional Marseilles deck. Robert Wang is a medievalist, art historian, artist. He is the creator of the Golden Dawn Tarot deck in collaboration with the late Israel Regardie, and is the artist of the acclaimed Jungian Tarot deck. His books include studies of Jungian archetypal imagery and of the historical development of such movements as Hermetic Kabbalah and Rosicrucianism. Robert Wang has painted illustrations for Grimm's fairy tales. The preface to the 2nd edition, Robert writes, "When I wrote this book 20 years ago, it was during a period when serious historical studies of the occult movement and of the wonderful picture book called Tarot were in their infancy, and when, as Dion Fortune commented, scholars were lamentably failing to find the origins of the cards and of the movements which embrace them. Today, however, there have been tremendous strides among academics, and a great many of the early claims about the history of tarot have been unequivocally shown to be pure nonsense. But the truth about the roots of tarot imagery is actually far more interesting than the various myths surrounding the cards. Over a period of hundreds of years, a set of pictures created as a game in some Italian castle and representing a courtly world as then known was turned first into a device for telling fortunes, and then into a repository for some extraordinary and complex metaphysical principles. In this regard, there's a very interesting parallel between the development of Christianity and that of Buddhism. Both Siddhartha and Jesus were seekers of truth, whose ideas were twisted into formal and complex religions that provided a framework for theocratic societies. Historians understood today that long after the death of the Buddha, Tibetans grafted a Baroque pantheon of gods, demons, and formal practices onto his simple teachings. The same happened with the ideas of Jesus. Even those miracles attributed to Jesus in the Synoptic Gospels have been demonstrated by brilliant scholars at the Claremont School in California to be the embellishment of a zealous Roman writer. In this history, there is certainly a lesson about the tools of inner search available to us. Some, especially Jewish scholars, have been quite hostile toward an attachment of Kabbalistic ideas to the tarot, which is completely understandable. But what we find when we look into the pedigrees of both Christianity and Judaism is a socio-political core and layer upon layer of complex ideologies added by rabbis and theologians Starting from scratch, organized belief systems are created and may eventually become archetypal paths for inner development. Indeed, Christian and Jewish mystical exercises are profound and effective because they promote a search for simple spiritual principles which transcend cultus. The same may be said for the use of tarot images, although this path, which some criticize as occult in the most negative sense, is quite recent. To these comments, let me add that when I wrote the Qabalistic Tarot, the utility of relating tarot images to Kabbalistic principles was only beginning to emerge from the supposedly secret teachings of a number of esoteric fraternities and was not well understood by most people. Today, previously secret uses of the tarot, especially the use of tarot cards as gateways into inner worlds, a process which Carl Jung described as active imagination, are becoming more and more common. We are living in a most excellent new era. Welcome to the Qabalistic Tarot, a textbook of mystical philosophy. Preface written by Robert Wang, Washington, D.C., 2004.